Today, we are going to talk about a very interesting topic, which is the origin or history of stock markets. I'm very proud to know that Indian stock markets are the oldest stock markets in Asia. I'm very excited to share all those interesting details with you. So, let's start our video. In 1100s, courtiers d'echange, which means brokers exchange in French, contains a group of man-managed agricultural debits throughout the country on behalf of banks. They are believed to be the first brokers since they traded these debts and regulated them. Venice also has quite a fascinating history when it comes to this. In 1300s, merchants of Venice started trading in government securities. Soon after this, other cities took on this practice and slowly it gained traction in Italian cities. Now, let's talk about first securities exchange. What is securities exchange? A place where brokers and traders sell and buy these securities. In 1531, first securities exchange was created in Antwerp, Belgium. Brokers and moneylenders would meet there to deal with business, government, and even individual debt issues. It was also home to the influential Van der Bosch family. As a result, earlier stock markets were typically called a Burgian. All these early security markets had one thing missing, which is stock. Although the infrastructure and institutions resemble today's stock markets, nobody was actually trading shares of a company. Instead, the market dealt with affairs of government, business, and individual debts. So, let's discuss about first publicly traded company, which is Dutch East India Company. In the 16th century, lots of ship owners from different countries sent their ships to east to bring the valuable goods. These trips were very dangerous because of turbulent waters and pirates. If the ships didn't make it back, the ship owners would lose a huge amount of money. To decrease the risk, the shipowners sought investors to financially back the boat and the crew for the journey. By doing this, the shipowner would be distributing some of the risk. If the journey was successful, the investors would get a percentage from the profit. If the ship didn't return, investors would lose all the invested money. To reduce their own risk, they invested in different ships on different journeys. Then, a company called Dutch East India Company was formed for these type of transactions. Instead of investing in each individual ship on different journeys, investors could buy shares in the company. Dutch East India Company became the world's first publicly traded company in 1602 when it released shares of the company on Amsterdam's stock exchange. They also introduced bonds which allowed people to get a fixed percentage of the profits derived from the company. Initially, stocks were handwritten on sheets of paper and investors traded these stocks with other investors in coffee shops. In other words, coffee shops were the first real stock markets due to the fact that investors would visit these markets to buy and sell stocks of the company. Early days of stock market didn't have any regulations. Some illegitimate companies opened up overnight and issued the stocks. In many cases, companies were able to make thousands of pounds before a single ship had left the harbor. As a result, government of England banned the issuing of shares until 1825. In 1801, London Stock Exchange was formed, but companies were not allowed to issue shares. So in 1817, New York Stock Exchange was formed and traded stocks since its very first day. The London Stock Exchange was the main stock exchange for Europe, and the New York Stock Exchange was the main stock exchange for America and also the world's largest stock exchange. Now, let's see the history of Indian stock markets. Indian stock market is the oldest stock market in Asia. In 1830, trading on corporate stocks and shares in bank and cotton took place in Mumbai, but the brokers were very less. Later in 1850, a group of 22 stockbrokers began trading under a banyan tree opposite to the town hall of Mumbai. This banyan tree still stands in the Horniman Circle Park, Mumbai. Later, people started showing interest. the group of stockbrokers organized themselves as Stockbrokers Association and formed Bombay Stock Exchange. In 1956, Government of India recognized BSE as the first stock exchange in the country. Later, NSE started trading on November 1994. Within less than a year, NSE turnover exceeded BSE. Currently, many stock exchanges are there in India, out of which BSE and NSE are famous for equity shares and MCX is famous for commodity shares. That's it for today, guys. Thank you for watching our video. If you like this video, please like, share, comment and subscribe to our channel for more interesting videos. See you guys in the next video. Until then, stay home, stay safe.